Our first reading for today from the Old Testament comes from the prophet Isaiah. Most scholars will tell you that Isaiah appears to be the work of three separate prophets at three distinct times in history. And we hear today from a portion of what is often referred to as Second Isaiah. Second Isaiah is addressed to exiles in Babylon and is the work of a prophet who proclaims salvation and hope for the exiles, that God will soon take them home again. We hear a portion from near the end of that, and let us now listen for what the Spirit would say to us through the words of the prophet. Ho, everyone who thirsts, come to the waters, and you that have no money, come, buy and eat. Come buy wine and milk without money and without price. Why do you spend your money for that which is not bread, and your labor for that which does not satisfy? Listen carefully to me, and eat what is good, and delight yourselves in rich food. Incline your ear and come to me. Listen, so that you may live. I will make with you an everlasting covenant, my steadfast, sure love for David. See, I made him a witness to the peoples, a leader and commander for the peoples. See, you shall call nations that you do not know, and nations that you do not know shall run to you, because of Yahweh your God, the Holy One of Israel, for he has glorified you. Seek Yahweh while he may be found. Call upon him while he is near. Let the wicked forsake their way, and the unrighteous their thoughts. Let them return to Yahweh, that he may have mercy on them, and to our God, for he will abundantly pardon. For my thoughts are not your thoughts, nor are my ways your ways, says Yahweh. For as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts. The word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. When I was around 12 years old, my family moved out into the country, as we called it. This was formerly the family land. It had been farmed years earlier, but it hadn't been farmed in decades. But when we moved out there, we were able to put up a fence and able to have horses as we were growing up. But we didn't just have horses. We also had a pair of donkeys named Angelo and Annabelle. Now, how it was that we came to have these donkeys is probably one of those, it seemed like a good idea at the time moments. Somehow my father had found out about this elderly woman that had 7 or 8 of these donkeys. And I think she was moving into a retirement home, and she was looking to find good homes for her pets. We took 2. We tried to ride these donkeys a few times, but that was generally a disaster. They either just stood there, or they threw you off, one of the two. And so they were little more than novelties, conversation pieces that we had. They really weren't good for anything. Well, they could bray so loud you could hear them for miles. And they were quite good at escaping. Now, our horses got out from time to time, but generally all they would do was go and eat the grass on the other side of the fence. But the donkeys went on excursions. I bet I'm the only person here who ever got pulled out of school to go home and help catch the donkeys, which were running down the road and terrifying startled drivers as they trotted along. Now, at some point, the novelty of all this wore off, and we decided that we would get rid of the donkeys. And so it was our time to find them a good home. And so we told anyone and everyone that we were giving away these donkeys. And we, I think, ran an ad in the paper as well, but no takers. And at some point, after trying to give these donkeys away for years, my parents decided to run a classified ad offering them for sale. I don't recall exactly. I think it was something like they were $25 a piece, and you could get a deal and get them both for 40. And even though we had been trying to give these things away for years, we sold them the very first day the ad ran in the paper. And we got calls for a week from people who wanted the donkeys. And when they found out they'd already been sold, well, have they already been picked up? We'll give you more than the asking price if you'll save them for us. Who would have ever thought? A bidding war for our worthless donkeys. Now, I think many of us have an innate suspicion that anything that is free is not really worth anything. If we don't have to earn it, if we don't have to pay for it, then there's something wrong with it. There's no free lunch, goes the old saying. And yet in our scripture today, we hear the prophet shout out, "You that have no money, come, buy and eat. Come buy wine and milk without money and without price." And as I told the children, these words are addressed to exiles in Babylon. The Babylonians had destroyed Jerusalem and carried off its people into exile nearly 50 years earlier. And the Hebrews had struggled to understand what it meant for the people of God to have been defeated in this manner. Were the gods of Babylon more powerful than Yahweh? Had Yahweh simply abandoned them? Were they being punished for failing to live in the ways that God had called them to live? But now, after a half-century of exile, the prophet begins to speak of rescue, of restoration. God has not abandoned them. God is stronger than Babylon. Draw near to Yahweh, who is about to work salvation for Israel. And the image that the prophet uses is that of a marketplace. If you've ever been to a third world country, you may very well have seen something along the lines of what Isaiah has in mind. Vendors are there in the marketplace hawking their wares, vying for people's attention. "Yo, look what I have, look here, don't you want one of these?" And the market is abuzz as vendors shout and buyers haggle over price. But one vendor says, "Oh, look here. You that have no money, come, buy and eat. Come buy wine and milk without money and without price. Why do you spend your money for that which is not bread, and your labor for that which does not satisfy?" Now, many of us have limited experience with the sort of marketplace Isaiah speaks of in our reading, but we know all about marketing and vendors. Vendors assail us on our televisions, at the movie theaters, in magazines and newspapers, and on our computer screens. "Oh, look at this. Isn't this wonderful? You know that you need this. It will make you popular and cool and will make you happy and fulfilled. You know you have to have it." And we get caught up in the songs of the marketplace ourselves. Yes, we want that. We need that. Oh, yes, it will make us happy. It will make us popular. It will keep us from looking old. It will satisfy our longings. It will fill our insecurities. But in the midst of all the songs of the marketplace, one rings out just a bit off key. "Oh, look what I have here. This is what you really need. What will fill your deepest hungers and give you life to the fullest, and it's all free. Come, you that have no money, and you that have much. Come, whoever you are." But if it's free,